Welcome to Lazy Gaming, a place where Player 2's writers can fill in a quiet day while being as lazy as possible. After all, what's lazy in a top 5 video? Don't worry though folks, all of our 5 responses will be in one video. We're simply too lazy to be chasing clicks by placing them in multiple clips. I'll now throw to Matt Hewson, who's going to take us through our next topic.
Sometimes a game gets lost to the mists of time, forgotten by players as they move on to the next big thing. These games sit in virtual game shells, collecting virtual dust as the memory of good times slowly fade from the gaming community's collective consciousness. But some of these games don't deserve to be forgotten. They deserve celebration, not fading into obscurity. So here are 5 games from my gaming past that are still wonderful to play today. Games that should get another chance in the light. And most importantly, they are games that, while a little old and out of date, still deserve a spot in your recently played list on your PC or console.
Number 1.
Number 1. Def Jam Fight for New York. As I never owned a PS2, I never actually got to check out Def Jam Vendetta, but its sequel was released on the Xbox and I was able to check out what would end up being one of my favourite games of the generation. Set in a world where real-life rappers and hip-hop artists are members of 2 rival gangs, players took control of a custom character who works his way up through the ranks by smashing rival gang members through tables, speaker systems, chain link fences, and even trains. Fight for New York is a wrestling game at heart, but it is also much more than that. A great story, memorable locations, super tight gameplay, and a host of cool characters, including Snoop Dogg as the main baddie. Everything about this game is memorable. Hell, your trainer is none other than the legend that is Henry Rollins. Sadly though, the game's sequel, Def Jam Icon, was created by a different developer, and was, to put it lightly, rubbish. Which means that the game has fallen off everyone's radars. But to this day, I don't think I've ever played a more satisfying single-player fighting game than this.
Number 2.
Number 2. Freedom Force. Released in 2002 and developed in Australia, Freedom Force was a fantastic PC RPG based on superheroes in an early 1960s style setting. Playing as the Freedom Force, players took control of this golden era comics group of heroes as they cleaned up the town and stopped nefarious baddies in their evil plans. The game was certainly more of a CRPG in style, as opposed to the more action-oriented RPGs which were popular at the time of release. This led to a lot of people passing over it, and while it did get a sequel, Freedom Force vs. the Third Reich, the franchise seemingly never took off. It was such a unique title in a genre that almost exclusively focuses on traditional fantasy or sci-fi settings, and it feels like such a shame that it never reached greater heights. But the good news is that the game is still wonderfully playable today, and it can be had for a pittance on Steam and good old games. So even if you missed it upon release, all is not lost. Freedom Force and its sequel are more than worthy of any CRPG fan's time, so don't let it slip you by.
Number 3.
Number 3. The Warriors. Rockstar, most known for GTA, Red Dead, and table tennis simulations, took on a licensed property during the PS2 Xbox era and brought their signature open-world stylings to it in a way no one ever thought possible. The Warriors was based on a cult movie from the 70s about gang warfare around Coney Island, and the game served as a sort of prequel to these events. This was, in my mind at least, a much better game than Grand Theft Auto 3 and Vice City, probably even on par with San Andreas as far as Rockstar's achievements for that generation goes. It fused the open world with the movie's striking aesthetic while providing an interesting story and some truly entertaining missions and beat-em-up gameplay. As there wasn't a PC version, this game is hard to play today, though it is available on PSN as a backwards compatible title. But if you get the chance, I strongly recommend you do take it for a spin. It is one of the best film tie-ins I've ever played, and it deserves to be remembered as such.
Number 4.
Number 4. Driver San Francisco. The Driver franchise is a bit of an odd one. One goodish game started it all and was soon followed by sequel after sequel, each getting progressively worse than the last. That all changed with Driver San Francisco, a title that took car games in a direction that no one would have ever expected. It went metaphysical. Starting off as a generic car-based adventure, things took a massive left turn in the weirdest way possible when the player discovers he can float out of his own body and possess any other driver on the road. As crazy as this sounds, it works beautifully and adds a whole range of new tactics to racing style events. Losing a race? Why not take control of an oncoming bus and wipe out the competition or block the road? The whole game was built beautifully around this concept, and mastering it was a thing of pure joy. Still available on PC, this is a game that deserves to live in our minds forever, if only for the totally bonkers concept it was based on.
And number 5.
Number 5. Jade Empire. One of my favourite games of all time, Jade Empire is something of a black sheep in BioWare's back catalogue. Jade Empire, originally an Xbox exclusive, was the first attempt by BioWare to create their own world and story. Up until that point, they had only worked on titles that were based on existing IP, like Star Wars and Forgotten Realms. In my mind, they knocked it out of the park with Jade Empire's eastern setting, free-flowing combat and deep story. I was totally wrapped in every second of the game, and since its release in 2005, I would say I have finished this game on no less than 8 different occasions. While I live, this game will never be forgotten, and I live in hope that one day we will see a sequel. But until that point, I'm content in replaying this gem and saving the water dragon one more time.
So that's this episode of Lazy Gaming done and dusted. If you enjoyed it, then be sure to like, share and subscribe to this channel, and of course hit that notification bell, that way you're alerted to all the awesome content that can only be found on this channel. Visit the website, player2.net.au, and explore all of our awesome written content as well. If you're a fan of what we do in either the written or video spaces, then please consider becoming a patron of Player 2, where you can help the P2 dream to grow. Patreon.com/player2au. Until next time, that's been this episode of Lazy Gaming, and frankly, video editing. We'll see you next time.